Hey guys, Tyler here, and this is the Garage Warrior Podcast, and I am super excited today to have with me on the show Erwan Lecorre. How's it going today, Erwan?
Doing great, comrade. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I really appreciate you taking the time today to talk to me about movement. Now, if you guys don't know who Erwan is one of the leaders of the movement, I guess we could call it, right? And I just love for you to kind of share with us what your kind of 50,000 mile view is, what you're hoping to share with the world, Erwan.
We've lost sight of who we are as humans.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of people have become completely alien to their own body, and it's very sad. I mean, you look around and you see people who could be seen as being normal.
Right.
But if you start to question what normal is, there's something really very abnormal about it.
Right.
So it's not, I want to. It's not that I want to, be in that dark mindset of, oh my goodness, the world is going to an end. But what's for sure is that because of poor lifestyle choices and lack of knowledge of what are the fundamentals of health, a lot of people are basically suffering. They are not feeling good. They're not looking good. And they are being more and more ill, more and more, the quality of life of the majority of people is just going this way. And it's not fair. It's not nice. It's not fair. And I believe that the people like me who are involved in this movement, and obviously I'm not alone. Unfortunately, I'm not. And actually, there's a long line of people. There's a long history of physical education, for instance.
Sure.
And there will be plenty of people after us. But let's say we want to contribute to better lives, to people experiencing themselves in a better way, feeling better about themselves, feeling good. And one of the most powerful gateway to this is movement.
Sure.
And personally, I specialize, if I may say, on natural movement.
Right. Right. So if you could describe this, Erwan, like what is natural movement? So people are thinking about what you're saying is, people are sedentary, they're not experiencing their lives to their fullest potential. What is natural movement? How do you define that?
Well, let's, in 2009, when I got my first feature-length article in Men's Health, nobody in the field of fitness talked about natural movement. Nobody. It was something new, and it was something that I started to originate, define, and popularize for a reason, with a vision. And natural movement, it is the way or the ways that the human animal moves when in nature, right? So think of what would be the best way to train, fitness-wise, a tiger.
Right.
And can you imagine they're going to put them in a weight room for strength, put them on an elliptical for cardio, and on top of that, maybe you'll be you do a little stretching, a few mobility drills. That wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
The tiger needs to be and behave like a freaking tiger. Why on earth would it be any different in us? That is the most frightening, hilarious, I don't know how to label that, delusion of modern times, thinking that we've created something new or something better by, for instance, putting people in a room, in an artificial environment, and having them exercise with machines that are going to detect the movement. All right. So natural movement, sir, it's not doing yoga. It's not necessarily doing movement in nature. There's two qualities that, in my opinion, define what natural movement is. Number one, the movement is practical. So there is an immediate a direct, tangible reason for the movement to be and to be done, to be performed. If you're going to sprint, that is not just for metabolic conditioning or weight loss, whatever you want to trigger HGH, whatever.
Right.
Okay. That's the reason why you're going to sprint. Maybe because you're a hunter, maybe because you're a prey and there's a predator, after you, or because you want to catch the last bus, or because you're military, or because you're a firefighter, you want to save a life, you want to do something real. All right. Now, if you apply this reasoning to all other movement abilities that belong to the human species, then you think, okay, walking, but walking in many ways, not just walking with your hands in your pockets.
Right.
Running, balancing, jumping, crawling, climbing, and then manipulative skills, for instance, lifting, carrying, of course, throwing and catching, combative skills, swimming skills. So there's a wide, very versatile array of movement skills that the humans can perform and should perform, even though in today's modern life, they have become completely optional. Basically, you can sit on your ass all day, and people won't think anything of it. It's okay. It's normal. Actually, it's not. All right. So practical movement. You're doing something real. You're not trying to target your biceps and then you're trying to target your abs and then this is bodybuilding. You're trying to work out in isolation. The body does not work in isolation. The body is a unit. It should work in concert. You're whole. Number two, adaptability. Movements have to be adaptive or adaptable to context. What's the context? Two variables: the environment where you are and the situation where you are. If you combine both, then you can have, for instance, a very rich, varied, complex environment and maybe a super difficult, threatening maybe situation. Or you could have a very quiet situation, whatever, you need to go get water. You live in the in an arid area, and all you need to do is to walk and then to carry water.
Right.
So all these are practical and adaptable movements.
So
that's natural movement. So this being said, some people could say, well, you know what, I have a natural body, therefore any movement I do can be natural. Right? Well, if you think this way, then just remove the term natural because it doesn't mean anything. Let's just talk about movement, and then anything goes. Handstands, cha-cha dancing, ping pong, freestyle walking, anything works. It's just movement. So what I try to do is to define what would be natural movement. You are in a natural environment or in whatever environment, even artificial environments. You're doing something that's practical and that's adaptable to the context.
Right, because you won't often need to use a strict bicep curl or a tricep kickback, but you might have to lift something up, put something overhead, run fast, climb a tree, so on and so forth.
Exactly, and what I want to say, what I want to add to that is there's nothing wrong with biceps curls. I mean, you can do it sometimes, it's fun, why not? If there's nothing wrong with any movement, every movement is good.
Right.
Okay? And after all, biceps curls, even though it's a relatively isolated movement, it's still movement, it's still good.
Sure.
It's better than nothing. But and there's also nothing wrong in, say, trying to get a better physique. And if you think that bodybuilding is the way, then you should do it. If it makes you happy, then that's good. But what I'm trying to tell people, all right, do you have a baseline? Do you have a foundation of physical competence that applies, that's effective in the real world? Do you or not?
Right.
Because if you don't, then it doesn't matter the size of your biceps, the size of your arms, the size of your chest. It won't matter the moment that you have to be effective and efficient in a real life scenario. And that can happen anytime.
Well, we hear stories of these bodybuilders, Erwan, that maybe they're gigantic guys, but they're actually not quite as strong. There was one recently that became a viral video of this really huge guy, and he's trying to open his soda bottle, and he can't open his soda bottle, and he's squeezing out, which is just goofy, right? These guys are huge, and they look really strong, but they can't even use enough grip strength to open a soda bottle. So that being said, what are some of the
Octopus would do it better.
What's that?
An octopus would do it better. There's an octopus opening. Smart enough to know how to open,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what are the fundamental movements? Let's just take somebody who is sedentary, who maybe doesn't know what they should be doing with their exercise routine. Where would you start them out at? What fundamental movements would you start them out with?